This is it, baby. The Acer Nitro 5 is sitting here on the table, ready to review. You guys have been asking for it on my Discord server because of its price point, under $1,000, a great idea to get you started off in gaming. Now, when you're looking at this design, it looks like last year's model, but they've actually made a few changes that are quite important. First, the chassis itself is thinner, it's not as thick. It's also lighter, making it easier to carry around. The next big thing is the design. It's a little bit more cleaner, just a black lid with little striations going vertically. The Nitro logo is still on the bottom, but overall they're sticking to that red and black design. The port situation, they've changed that as well. The port lineup is a little bit different. You are getting your Kensington lock like you did last year. RJ45, that's new. HDMI, USB Type-C, it's not Thunderbolt 3. 2 USB 3.0 ports. And then on the right side, you have a power connector and of course USB 2.0 and a headphone jack. Now you're gonna notice you have the radiators here. They didn't have this before, so they're allowing airflow to push through this laptop a little bit better than they did the previous year. The other thing to note is the bezels on this display. They've thinned them out. This was a lot thicker in the previous model, but it looks a lot cleaner now. The laptop itself is a little bit more compact. The next big thing is getting into the laptop. With the previous model, you had these little ports that you just simply took off and you can like swap out the hard drive or the RAM. Now you have to remove the entire screws from the bottom of the lid. I actually prefer this because there's quite a few things you can swap out or upgrade inside of here. You have a full-size 2.5 hard drive space. You can either leave the 2.5 drive or buy a 2.5-inch SSD. The big thing this year is instead of one M2 slot, you actually get two. So this unit can have a potential of 3 drives for all of your storage. The next thing is the battery size. This is a very small battery, 57 watt hours. And I'll be honest with you, if the NVIDIA Optimus is not disabled, your battery life is gonna be like 1.5 to 2 hours tops. Now, if you enable Optimus, which is prevalent on this laptop, you could actually get some pretty decent battery life. I'm talking about 4, maybe 4.5 hours of use before needing to charge. Now, you do have a Wi-Fi card. This is a 9560, so you're gonna get some good Wi-Fi speeds. This is 2 slots for RAM. This is 8 gigabytes. My suggestion, if you do get the 8 gigabyte models, to go out and buy another 8 gigabyte stick to make this dual channel memory. You'll notice a slight performance increase. The display is not the best. It's the same one as they put in the previous model. I would have loved to see them to go up to at least 120 hertz, but it's still 60. Color accuracy is not good enough to do design work on it, but it's more than adequate for gaming. Like contrast levels were good and the screen got bright enough. It's still a bad webcam. It's not the best for video conferencing, but I mean, like I said, every gaming laptop that I've tested just doesn't have a good webcam. So sound is coming out of 2 2-watt speakers on the bottom of the laptop. They do get quite loud, but not enough to like really impress you. Because they're facing the bottom, they fire off the desk and they give you a tinny experience. There's no distortion though, so that's always good. Now for a budget laptop, the performance is actually quite good and they've improved it in a few ways. It's faster because it's using the latest specs, 9th gen and a GTX 1650. The 1650 actually surprised me. It performs quite well. I'm seeing a 15 to 20% performance boost compared to last year's 1050 Ti. This means you can game on this comfortably at high settings most of the time. Older games like Overwatch, Fortnite, you can even jump up to Epic or Ultra without any issues. Only some of the newer demanding titles, you're gonna have to drop it down to medium to play it comfortably. Heat management is very interesting because the CPU and GPU share the same space, the same fans, the same heat pipes. When both are going at the same time, it gets quite hot. 91 to 94 degrees Celsius when I'm gaming. And this is with max fans on, this is with Cool Boost technology. It doesn't make a difference, it stays fairly hot. The only time I could get it to be quite cool is when you just run either the CPU by itself at max or the GPU by itself at max. Because they're sharing the same space, it's hard for this laptop to keep it cool. All they had to do was separate the CPU and GPU on opposite ends, and I think thermally you'd see improvements. Fan noises when this thing is on idle is actually pretty good, you don't hear it. But when you are gaming, the fans do kick on, but it's not nearly as loud as other gaming laptops. Keyboard is very familiar to last year's model. It's quite mushy, but you do have good travel distance. Numeric keypad has been jammed in, but at least you have one if you need to crunch some numbers. Touchpad. It's a good size, nice and big, but it's not the most accurate touchpad because it's not made out of glass, but it is using Windows precision drivers. So here are my closing thoughts. The Acer Nitro 5 is a nice improvement from the previous model. I kind of wish they went with a 144 Hz display and they kept the SD card slot, but in the end, you get a lighter laptop, a chassis that allows more upgrades. You get the extra drive and you have newer ports to work with, but you do lose out on the SD card slot. Thermally, it's actually better than last year's model, even though it does get a little bit hot. If you're familiar with undervolting, that could help alleviate that issue. Anyways, this wraps up my review of the Nitro 5. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.